Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Clangin and Bangin with Mikey, episode 250, and good morning, happy Sunday. And today what we gonna talk about, man, is this week been interesting, man. I ran into a couple people from my past, and it's the epicenter of them growing older and not growing any wiser. And I just look at dudes like, bro, you talking about shit that happened almost 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. It's like, I'm no longer that dude. You talking about college age Mike, and I was like, I'm no longer that guy. But what I also want to talk about, man, is how dealing with one bad individual or not trusting your gut intuition and not recognizing the signs can lead you to to be stuck in a situation where everything that you work for is a potential of being ruined, right? I don't understand how people can just do that, you know? I don't understand how people can just like throw caution to the wind and it's like, oh yeah, X, Y, and Z. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. It's like, because as the years go on, you're gonna be dealing with the same problem just in a bigger format, you know? It's gonna cost you more money to leave. It's gonna cost you more money to leave. It's gonna cost you more money to fix things, and sometimes if you just would have stopped and you just would have listened and you just would have seen it for what it was or for what it is, you wouldn't have been in that situation. And the last thing that you want to do is to compound the situation by not realizing that you should have left a long time ago. I had a couple buddies of mine when we was in college. Their parents got divorced, not because they didn't love each other or whatever, is because they were strangers. And what I mean by that, excuse me, a little bit under the weather. What I mean by that is that parents will forget to pour into each other. They'll get so consumed with all bills, this, the kids, all that stuff. It's like they'll forget that you got to adult in your wife every once in a while. It's like, hey, wife, you got to do X, Y, Z for your husbands. And I mean, it's like, so yeah, it's a lot of shit that you have to do in order to keep a marriage alive, And it doesn't shock me when the kids get out the house and next thing you know, the parents are headed for a divorce because you're living with somebody that you don't know, You're living with somebody that you just raised kids with, You're living with somebody who had the title of husband or wife. In reality, not only should that have, only that have been a title, it should have been a title of lover, should have been a title of companion, should have been a title of partner, not just husband and wife, right? And I want to get married one day. Maybe have kids, that thought always creeps into my mind. Is like, because I'm 37, right? Get a little up there in age, right? So, and that being said, man, is like you have to have the ability to know when to pour into your partner and know when the relationship is on life support, right? Because you don't want to be stuck in a situation where it's like you're constantly giving, and it's like you're not getting nothing in return. It's like after a while, people get frustrated. People get, they get like, damn, what the fuck? Like, how come we can't see it for what it is? Or X, Y, and Z. And it's true, because you can't. A lot of the times, people will get blindsided. They're like, oh, she wants a divorce or whatever it was. It's like, and you look up the stats, like 70% of women, are the ones who initiate divorce. Very few of it, are men. And I applaud, the people who get divorces. And I mean, it's like for legitimate reasons, And most of the times, women be like, well, I wasn't happy, this and this and that. I'm like, what you mean I wasn't happy? Like, you had a roof over your head, you had X, Y, and Z, you had yada, yada, yada. And a lot of the times it has to do with people just wanting something new. People choosing themselves. And, you know, that's fine. You know, I've seen people get married and never have the conversation about them wanting, you know, about them wanting kids. Then years down the road, they try to have that conversation, and the other person's like, I don't want kids. Okay, if you don't want kids, then why are you still married to a person that you know who wants kids? Let them go. Or I've seen people, believe it or not, be with somebody for 12, 15, 20 years, and like the other person knows that this person wants to get married, but they never ever have the conversation. Like I'm talking, they go to couples counseling, they do X, Y, and Z, they do all that shit, and it's like 12 years is, you know, anything longer than 5 years is a long fucking time. You know, and once you start reaching the double digits, it's like, what are you doing? You know, why are you wasting your time? Because it's true. It's like, you're wasting your time for what? I don't understand that, and I don't, you know. And in reality, it's like you end up looking stupid because it's like you're waiting for somebody to commit to you, and like they don't want to commit to you, and then what's the point? Now I can understand if it's like a year in, 2 years in, okay, yeah, bro. It's like shit, you know, like take it slow, dog. It's like, you know, but when you start hearing the fact that you've been together for 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 20 years and you still ain't married, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah, it's like, and I just look at that shit like, okay, like that's fine. You can not want marriage, but if the other person wants to get married and you don't want to get married, you better have that conversation. And I just don't understand that. I don't understand how people can string people along, do X, Y, and Z, and find nothing wrong with that, bro. Or it's like I've known people be like, well, like I love him to death, but how come he doesn't want kids? I'm like, you asking the wrong guy. I don't know. I'm not him. You better go talk to him. And if that is the situation and you can't move past, then you need to leave. You know, you need to get divorced. Be like, what? I was like, yeah. It's like, you need to leave and you need to get divorced, because it's like, the longer you stay in that situation, the more resentment that you're gonna have towards that person. And it's like, if you want kids and you want a family, and he or she's made that clear that that's not gonna happen, then what are you doing? Why are you still there? Why are you holding out hope for something that's not gonna happen? And I think that's the hardest thing you can do, is to understand that the situation has run its course. Understand the situation is not what you want it to be. Understand that the situation is not, it's not necessarily your fault. But I think if a lot of people had conversations beforehand, they wouldn't be sitting there having the same conversations over and over and over again, you know? And that's what it is, man. It's like, I think that's the most important thing. It's like, once somebody tells you what they don't want, believe them. And like, no amount of time is gonna change your mind. I don't care what it is, you know. Like, if you're talking about marriage, if you're talking about X, Y, and Z, is like, and if they tell you I don't want to get married because X, you know, or I've seen people like, oh, I don't want to get married because my parents got divorced. I'm like, okay, but what's that got to do with you? Just because your parents got divorced, like you literally got an example of what not to do. You know, And most of the time when people get divorced is because they know deep down inside that this shit shouldn't have gone past date number one or date number two. So it's just stuff like that, man. It's like most of the time people know that this shit is running their course. And I think once you figure that out, and once you figure out, like, okay, damn, like, this person ain't really who I thought he or she was. Like, okay, damn, X, Y, and Z. Just like, stop pretending that people have to be a certain way for you to be, for you to be content or happy, whatever it is. It's like I said, if you want X, Y, and Z and they want A, B, and C, then you guys are clearly on the wrong page. Stop thinking that people have to have it all together or they have to do X, Y, and Z, because they really don't. You can sit there, you can talk to people, but if they don't want the same thing you want, then that's fine. Don't try to sit there and change your mind. Don't try to sit there and like do X, Y, and Z. Because at the end of the day, it's not gonna work. All you're gonna do is create more hardship, more difficulty, and just overall, you're gonna end up resenting that person because they don't want what you want. It's like, I knew this girl who was dating this dude for 3-4 years, and she asked him straight up, like, oh, like, what are we doing? It's been 3-4 years. Well, why are we married? And he said, well, I don't want to get married. And so she ended up breaking up with him. And I think like a year later, she ended up marrying some dude she went to high school with. And she's got a couple of kids and everything too. But at the same time, like, she got what she wanted. It's like, if somebody else is out there, and they're not giving you what you want, and you made it clear what you want, then you're free to leave. Stop thinking that you have to stop thinking that you have to sit there and wait for this individual to get it together, and wait for this person to see your worth. The chances are they see your worth, they just don't care. They don't care what it is. They don't care what you do. They just know for whatever reason, oh, I can do X, Y, and Z, and he or she's never gonna leave. And then once they end up picking themselves, and like, that's what the other person's like, well, I'm blindsided. Like, nah, they told you what they wanted. You didn't want to do that. Or it's like, it's like when people get divorced, and from what I've been told, it's like, it's like we got divorced simply because all the X, Y, and Z, yada yada yada. And majority of the time, women who initiate divorces will tell you, I got divorced because I wasn't happy. And some of it is true. Some of it is like, come on, really, you got divorced over that? You know what I mean? Okay. And then, like, you end up hearing more and more about the situation, and then you're like, And then you kind of sit there and you're like, yeah, I don't think so. Because to me, when I hear that, I wasn't happy. Happiness is always an internal job. If somebody can't make you happy, and then that somebody is you, then you have no business being in a relationship or a situation with anybody until you can make your own self happy. Until you can make, whatever it is that you feeling, make it come out in a way that's conductive and, and productive. Because it's nobody's job to make you happy. It's nobody's job to sit there and make you see your worth or whatever it is. And you can't sit there and expect somebody to be at your beck and call, and expect somebody to understand what you're feeling, and expect somebody to be sympathetic to a point. Because after a while, people will be like, Because I've known people to get into situations like, my thing is kind of strange how every situation that you're in, you're the victim. I think it's kind of strange how, like, you can pinpoint everybody's faults and flaws, but when people bring that shit up to you, you don't want to see that. And I think that's also very strange, because it's like, why would you want to sit there and do that? Why would you want to sit there and and like make something that's not a an issue? Because if you're not happy, then there's nothing nobody else can do about that except you. If you're not happy, then I don't care what you do. You better go figure it out, and better go figure it out fast. Because I hate when people say, "Well, I'm not happy, this and this and that," with anything, and they don't change it. It's like, how can you be so unhappy but not want to change anything? You know, how can you be so unhappy but not realize that your happiness is your job to fix? It's like, you're out there thinking X, Y, and Z. In reality, it's like, it is 100% your job. You know, it's 100% your responsibility to make yourself feel whole, make yourself feel loved, and make yourself feel seen and heard. And if the person you're talking to is not helping you do that, then you need to leave. It's like, people need to stop thinking that, oh, if I do X, Y, and Z, he or she's gonna see my worth. They're not. You're gonna be killing yourself for what? You know? You're better off picking up the pieces. Or not even that. Just leaving the pieces on the ground and moving the fuck on, like Tupac said. Like, why sit there and try to put something back together, you know, when it's not worth it? And I think that's the most disheartening thing that people can do, is to create a situation where you're where your needs and your needs and you want aren't, they're not being met. You don't need to be doing that to yourself. And you don't need to be in a situation where you're invisible. And last thing I'm gonna say is that I'll be 37 next week Saturday, right? Or this coming Saturday. I don't have any kids. The idea floats in my head that I'm in about having kids, right? You know, it's a constant thing, right? I wish a lot of these women would stop having kids with these deadbeat motherfuckers. And when I say deadbeat motherfuckers, I'm not talking about the guys who just don't pay, they don't pay their fair share or whatever it is. I'm talking about the guys who are emotionally not available, emotionally distant, and X, Y, and Z, all this other shit, who play victim and who do all this gaslighting. I was like, I wish you motherfuckers would stop having kids with guys like that. I wish you motherfuckers would, would listen to your gut intuition, because they say women's gut intuition is so great, right? And I'm like, cool, if it's so great, then why do y'all still fuck up and have kids with motherfuckers that you know ain't shit? That's the one thing I wish, man. I wish women would stop doing that. I wish women would just understand that, yo, he's doing X, Y, Z for a reason. Because he thinks that he can get away with it. Stop letting him get away with it. You know, stop making excuses for his piss poor behavior. You know, and that's the only thing that I have in my mind, man, is that because we deserve better. We deserve people who want us for us, and nothing else, man. That's what it is. Anyway, y'all, this is 20 minutes of your life that y'all won't get back. Hope y'all keeping it 4Ps. Private player, positive pushing. I will see y'all next week. I love y'all. And like I always say, know your worth because you're better than what you are, man. All right, y'all. Peace. Happy Halloween, everybody. Stay safe.